Okay, so now we've talked about two read and different options for being able to avoid pick routes. One of the other big things that teams will throw at you is bunch formations, stack formations, or quads. And so I like to keep the rules kind of in the same family with how we're going to defend this. And if we're going to have a man base and then a two read base built off of that, I think that keeping the way we defend bunch and stack and quads should be within that same kind of family. So it's not reinventing the wheel with everything we see. And so um, switching it over now, say this side's the field, okay, and we get a bunch formation over here. The best, simplest, most easy way I like to do it where you're not compromising your run box and you're not getting just killed one-on-one backside is I like to do like a banjo, what a lot of teams call as banjo. And so I want to press the point man, okay? And his job, if this money, he's used to being physical, he's used to being someone who can get in and jam and also get in on the run fit, he should be able to be physical. Okay. So he's jamming this guy and he's locked up with him as well. So wherever this point guy goes, the money is manned up on him. Now, these guys are now kind of doing a two read concept. Basically, whichever player goes out, and I think it's easiest to key this inside player if he goes out, the corner's going to take him and then the free safety is going to switch. If he goes vertical or inside, then the free safety is going to take him. And so it turns into man coverage. And so that way you're not getting killed with spacing, snag, any sort of mesh or slant arrow, pick routes, things like that. Same kind of thing. We're trying to avoid that. And so from an offensive perspective, I love bunch because it screws with a defense. It gets them out of alignment. And there's a lot of stuff that, if you can get a defense to change their rules just by bunching, it's crazy. So we've even done a shift where we have trips flexed and we just do a simple shift in the bunch. And it's amazing how simple that shift is to change up in a defense's entire way they're defending it. And so that's something we want to avoid as a defense. So we don't want to reinvent the wheel. We don't want to put ourselves in a bad spot. So basically, we're going to man up here, and we can basically call it we're reading the new number two. Okay, so then it becomes a two read concept if we want to do it this way. There's other ways to teach it, but to me, that's the simplest form for high school. If number two goes out, the corner's picking him up now. If he goes vertical or inside breaking, the free safety is going to take him all the way. And so this is one of those trips things where our strong safety now we have some wiggle room. He can blitz, he can play deep, or he can bracket this side. So that's really depending on if we want to have a specific call for this situation. Um, I like, mixing it up and having the strong safety know that, hey, he's got to check with the DC, the play caller, and see what his rule is. And so if we get bunch, it might be a week to week thing, or we'll say, hey, here's your automatic thing, but we might check you into a blitz or make you hot or something like that. What I would do is say, hey, just make him a deep safety guy as your base. And then if you start getting killed one on one backside, you can have him bracket. Or if we're not getting enough pressure or we want to mix it up, we can send him on a blitz. And so that's how I would do it. And then I would just lock him up backside. So that's the simplest way to defend bunch in a way that you're going to avoid doing a lot of pick routes. Now, colleges and other people will start to do things where you can box it. I like to say box for when we have the numbers for quads. And so I'll talk about that here in a second. And so you'll see your normal quads if you get where everyone's eligible still. We will get kind of a diamond look. A lot of teams will do that, or they'll just if they go quads across the board, then we're going to have to do something here. So we're going to keep a lot of these same concepts. Okay, box to me is going to be, we can keep this where we want to jam or press, but really box is making it, you got four defenders defending a box. One's going to take low, one's going to take inside, one's going to take deep, and one's going to take outside. And that's what creates the box. And so since they moved a running back outside, I'm going to apex my Sam backer. And since it's an empty formation, I'm going to tell my other backers to split the box. Why? Because we have one less running threat here. He can't run read option. He can't run speed option. Yes, he can motion into something, but if he motions, we're going to adjust with that too. And so now it's a numbers game. They have 5-on-5. They can block us, sure, but we can get in on the run fit. Now, this is one situation where I would say that it's better to put some pressure on the quarterback because you know for certain he only has 5 blockers. And so if you want to send an extra blitz or even just a force player, that's great. He is still has the ability as a Sam to get in on the run game if you have to. So yeah, you look like, oh well, you got 5 linemen blocking my 5 defenders. That's not a good defensive strategy. Well, it's okay because these guys are playing an apex spot where they can play both the run and the pass, and they have to be, athletes that can read and be athletic enough to do that. And so, okay, so to play true box, so we got 4 guys who are covering 4 different areas to kind of create a box, and so we want to take away any possible threat that they're going to give us. And so the way that I like to teach it to keep it simple is that if we have similar concepts that we're doing like bunch, but we're going to have our corner kind of play a deep quarter. We're going to have our free safety kind of play a deep quarter. So they're still covering down anything that goes deep threat over here, which is nice because it works in our cover 6 base. And so if we have a deep quarter, then that helps a lot with this. But numbers wise, we still, these teams are going to try to get us out leveraged. You're going to think a quick smoke screen where they can get a lot of guys to block. So that's why we still want to show that we can get up there and defend it, because if they throw the ball, we have 4-on-3. And so one guy should be able to still make the tackle, even if all 3 guys make a block. And so it's all about making sure we can still defend, the first initial threat and then cover any deep threats beyond that. So I would still have this money. He's going to press, but he's going to cover the flat, and this guy's going to cover the curl flat. And so you can see it kind of creates a little bit of a box there. Now there's other ways you can do it. This is the way that I've liked to do it, just to keep it simple. It still looks like we're playing banjo defending the bunch, and so it takes away a lot of those initial quick throws. It takes away the quick game here because we have guys in position, and if they try to go vertical on us, we have dudes in position that can make a play. If they say send 3 vertical here on one side of the field, we all know if we've ran 4 verts and our slot receiver doesn't get across to the other hash, you can cover 2 guys with 1 defender. And so the deep part is covered. And so I don't mind this because it gives us good numbers for this. It gives us flexibility on the backside, and we're not compromised on the run game. Now remember, we still have to know if this quarterback's a threat, we have to be able to get our Sam and our strong safety in on everything. And one of the easiest ways to do that is just by blitzing this guy, and it takes some pressure off of the Sam where he can get in late if he needs to. So that's defending bunch and quads. You'll see teams that they just might want to get you one guy, outflanked and whatever it is, and they can put you in a bad position. The last thing to cover is if you get just normal 2x2 stack, or just a stack anywhere. Say they stack. Some teams, certain spread teams will, if they're in trips, you'll have your single flex out here, and then they will stack their inside guys. The same concepts and principles can apply. This is actually perfect. If a team lines up in this, what are we going to check into? We talked about it in the last video. Check into Chewy or lock. Same thing, because you can lock up these guys. Boom, they're locked up. And now we have our free safety over here. We have our Sam, or sorry, our we're gonna get back to our base. We're gonna have our money here and our strong safety. Too many S's sometimes, so we gotta be a little more creative with how we do that. So what I would do is you can jam it like that, and we're gonna keep a 2 read concept here. Okay, so it can be, you can call this banjo if you wanted to as well, where he's gonna take the press him, and he's going to take the guy behind. If you do that way, it eliminates this guy from being able to block you, and this guy has to be able to come in and make a play. If you know that he's manned up no matter what and the free safety's taken over, I would not necessarily treat it like that, but pressing the point kind of takes away some of that stuff. Or you can apex him, but we're still going to read number two, which in this case would be the point guy. So if he breaks out, free safety is going to take him. If he breaks in or vertical, the money's going to take him, and that eliminates some of the pick route scenarios. So don't overcomplicate it. I know I just ran through that really quick. There's a lot of ways to do it, but I would say depending on how you're doing your two read to defend pick routes, remember this split is what's going to cause you problems. When they line up in a stack or a bunch or they have tighter splits, the likelihood of a pick route goes way up. If their splits are really wide, you don't have to worry about that because they don't have the time. There's no threat of that. And if it is, it's a long developing play and you don't need to worry about it. And so you could just check into it. And so you get your DBs into reading the splits of the receivers. And as a DC, knowing, hey, by the team I'm playing, if they have certain splits, I know that this is more of a threat and we need to do that. One thing to always remember, pick routes, man beaters, you have to be creative in the red zone and on the goal line as a defensive coordinator. It has been so easy for me as an offensive coordinator now to know that, hey, if I have a decent enough passing game, that we don't have to just run the ball when we get into the goal line red zone. We can run man beaters because so many DCs are just check into man every single time. You can run two read, you can run a cover two, and still have your bases covered pretty well in the goal line, on the goal line in the red zone. So just keep that in mind. You don't want to get beat. You don't want to get picked. Be creative. And these are some ways that you can really do that.